very graceful. Hey everyone, this is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today I am without Charlie once again, but I am with the 2023 Hyundai Santa Cruz. This truck just got dropped off, and we'll be doing this review in the same sort of format that you all are used to. These are my raw first impressions, and well, let's just go ahead and get started. This is quite a small segment right now. We really only got the Hyundai Santa Cruz, the Ford Maverick, and I guess the Honda Ridgeline if you look at it that way. But the main competitor to this truck is the Ford Maverick, a truck that my colleague Charlie actually owns. So it'll be interesting to spend the week with this truck and see how it compares to the Ford Maverick. For one thing, so we had one of these trucks a couple years ago in 2020, or sorry, in 2021, I'm a year behind. And I remember this tonneau cover being particularly irritating to operate. However, it is above freezing, so it should work now. Okay, so now it does function as it should. Kind of a cool built-in design there, the rollback tonneau cover. And then similar to the Honda Ridgeline, we have another little pocket back here that opens up for some additional storage in the tailgate, or excuse me, in the bed of the truck, behind the tailgate. So that's kind of neat. You've just got to make sure that your strap for your tonneau cover doesn't get caught in it. Gotta love raw first impressions videos. Should we step up here? Yeah, we should step up here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, now you all know how to operate the tonneau cover on a Santa Cruz. Pretty lightweight tailgate there. This is the limited trim. We've got a 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder. We've got a DCT. We've got all-wheel drive. Overall, a pretty striking appearance here with the Santa Cruz. It's pretty similar to the Tucson, but some more rugged styling. As you can see here, we've got some more cladding with a little tiny Santa Cruz there, right at the top. Kind of neat. Jump in the back. And this seat is pushed all the way back, so we're actually going to go over to the passenger side. Sit back there. Black leather interior on this particular truck. Kind of a cool metallic gray. All right. Hopping back here, pretty good room, but honestly, if you compare it to the Ford Maverick, this was one of the lasting impressions with the Santa Cruz. It just doesn't feel as open in here as the Ford Maverick does. It feels more SUV-ish and less unique to this segment of vehicle. Sliding rear window, pretty neat. Give you a look up at the dashboard. All right, let's hop up and take it for a drive. $4,000 miles on this truck. Let's get the seat in a usable position here. All right, pretty basic Hyundai controls here. On these higher trim Hyundai vehicles, you don't get a volume knob, which is annoying, but you do get a little switch right here on the steering wheel, which does allow you to change volume. Heated and cooled controls right here above the center console. 4-wheel drive lock. And how do you change drive modes? Oh, right here. So we've got Snow, Smart, Sport, and Normal. These are the old style gauges. I have a feeling this Santa Cruz is going to be due for some sort of a mid-cycle refresh here shortly. We'll get some new tech in here and everything will look quite new because this car looks exactly the same as the last Santa Cruz we drove a couple of years ago, but that's not surprising. There hasn't been any big news on this vehicle. Okay, let's see if we've got a Monroney in here. I'm going to say we probably don't. Oh, we do. Very cool. All right, let's take a look at our Monroney. So, $41,000. Okay, keep that in mind. This would compete with the high-end, the highest-end Maverick, so a Lariat all-wheel drive with the 2-liter turbo. This would still be more expensive. 41 grand. Don't forget, though, you do get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty with these Hyundais and Kias and Genesis. 10.25-inch cluster and touchscreen. We've got Bose audio in here. Interesting. Usually you get Harman Kardons in Hyundais, so kind of cool to see something different in here. Where do we have... Oh, here we go. 8-speed Watt dual clutch and a 2.5-liter turbo. Yep, we went over that. Okay, enough reading them in Roni. Oh, except, actually, final assembly is Montgomery, Alabama. Quite truckish. Okay, here we go. Smooth shifts from that 8-speed wet dual clutch. I don't fully still understand why dual clutches are such the rage still. I imagine it has to do with efficiency because there's no torque converter, but they have so many issues because Americans aren't used to driving manual cars and they aren't used to how manual cars behave. And of course, underneath, this is just a manual transmission that's electronically controlled, so Americans just drive differently than Europeans, and it often leads to these dual clutches having issues. We saw this with Ford back in the early 2010s with the Focus and Fiesta, and we're actually now seeing it again with Kia and Hyundai having major issues with their dual clutches. So I think it's worth the extra couple MPG that you lose to just have a regular auto. Ooh. Yeah, this thing's quick. Pretty similar power to a Ford Maverick with the 2-liter turbo. But of course, what do you get in the Ford Maverick? You get a regular traditional 8-speed auto. So probably going to last longer than this dual clutch. But if you drive it spiritedly... Ooh, my goodness. A little bit of torque steer. Yeah, quite good. This is quicker than I remember it being. Let's try sport mode. Also have paddle shifters as well as manual control down here, something you don't get on the Ford Maverick. You have no way to manually shift gears in that vehicle. Feels very front-wheel drive biased. But you can, of course, lock it into 4-wheel drive if you so desire. Let the transmission do its own thing here. Not a bad noise from this 2.5. It's a little grainy. That's okay. Get our mirror adjusted there. So sport mode is, of course, going to hold gears longer. The alignment is slightly off. It's okay. Man, these first impressions reviews are tough when you don't have someone to bounce ideas off of. It's like when I'm doing a first impressions review, I like to have somebody with me. If I'm doing like an end of the week long review, it's much easier to do those solo. Yeah, not bad. Pretty flat through there. Good power on the out. All right, let's go back into normal. Or actually, let's try smart mode. Coming up on the rough ride section here. Test out the ride. Hazard switch right up there, front and center. That's nice. Okay. It's pretty quiet in here. That would be one advantage over the Maverick. It's certainly quieter going down the road. The ride is quite nice as well. It's a little stiff, but it's quiet. Again, you don't really hear much road intrusion. All right, let's hit this at 45. Yeah, quite nice over there. That is certainly where the Santa Cruz excels over the Maverick. You spend a little bit more money on equivalent Santa Cruzes, but they do feel higher end than the Maverick. I think overall the Maverick is a cooler vehicle, but this certainly feels like a higher quality item. So there are certain people I'd recommend the Maverick to, there are certain people I'd recommend the Santa Cruz to, which is nice, you know, having that segment available to more than just one type of buyer, even when there are really only two choices. But I guess if you count the Ridgeline, there's three. We've got the heart and the soul of the Subaru Baja. I guess what sort of started this trend? It was like the El Camino back in the 50s. It's because of the Australians, because they wanted to have car trucks. So then the Americans bounced off that with the El Camino. And then we also had the Subaru Baja, if you fast forward all the way to the 2000s, and then they kind of died off, and then now they're coming back again. So Honda rebooted it with the Ridgeline, so kind of neat. Well, I will be spending the week with this Hyundai Santa Cruz, and I will actually have Charlie at the end of it for the outro, and I think he will actually be able to spend about a day and a half, so you'll get impressions from both of us in about 10 seconds on the wrap-up of the Santa Cruz Limited Turbo All-Wheel Drive. Wrapping up our week with the Hyundai Santa Cruz, and Charlie actually spent a couple of days in it.
Close, yeah, a day.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a lot for me with press cars these days.
That's right, yeah. He was driving 5 other cars in California and doing other things this week, but I was able to spend a good amount of time with it, and, well, let's hop in and wrap up our week.
You know what I did do with it?
What did you do? Yeah, let me guess. You probably got something dirty.
No.
Oh. Okay.
I parked it next to a Tucson.
Ah, did you get a photo?
I did.
Oh.
But this looks better than the Tucson. It looks a little more aggro, a little more aggressive. The Tucson looks a little more squished in the front. This looks kind of cool. I still think it's trying a little too hard, a little like. Grrr.
Yeah. Did you notice that the tonneau cover does indeed work on this one?
Oh, they've improved that.
Yes.
It's a feature now.
I think
That's
because
nice, soft close.
I think because it's warm out now.
Sure. Quite good. Well, also this is a 23.
You know what's irritating about this, and why are there metal shavings back here?
That must be the tonneau cover falling apart.
You think so?
I can't imagine what else. You didn't put anything in here, did you?
No. Anyways, do you know what's irritating about this? Is you open this.
And the strap hits it?
No. The strap goes into it.
Oh no, that's
so
even
then
worse.
So then you have to walk around the side.
Ooh.
Pull the strap up.
Out of the way.
Out of the way, and then close it. And then you have to walk back around.
Yeah.
Grab the strap. Pull it shut.
Huh. Yeah, that's a lot.
All right. Well, you're shutting it now, or we're driving with it open.
Well, just taking a look in here, because you know we've owned our Maverick for over a year now, and I'm trying to think. First of all, this kills the usability of this bed.
Yes.
Think of all the things I've put in the Maverick and sent photos to you of.
Couches, motorcycles.
Well, those are
many things.
Two great ways to start. I would not have been able to fit the motorcycles in here because they go up to the front of the bed in order to fit. This is
and
not
you
a huge
lose like.
That's over a foot.
Yeah.
And then couches, yeah, same thing. I mean, I've really utilized the whole thing, and even these little bits take up usability.
Yeah, they look cool though.
They do look cool. And I know that the kind of the intended shopper is different between this and the Maverick, and you could probably, I don't know if you could remove this.
I'm sure you could remove that.
Well, sure, but like easily. Like swap back on.
Probably not.
The little adjustable things, I could definitely see myself using those. I do wonder though. I think of like Alyssa's boots. They'd fit. Yeah, they'd fit in there. This would be a nice little thing to have. This little under storage thing.
Well, this is kind of like a Ridgeline. How they have that.
Well, I was thinking about that with this truck.
It says under here, there's a warning that says don't use it for beverages.
But it's got a drain plug.
Mm-hmm. But it says it could short out the electronics. Pretty sure. Check it out. Yeah, yes. Oh, to the latch area. Well, you have to assume that water's going to splash up on the latch.
It's causing latch failure. Huh. Well,
It's an electronic latch.
Yeah, maybe they mean like power washing it or something.
Could be.
Yeah. It probably happened to like 2 people on the 2022 models, and so they put that thing there so they couldn't be,
Thank you for assisting. It's a 2-person job to close that.
Yeah. I like the soft close tailgate.
Soft open.
Soft open, yeah, you're right. It's not soft close.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. My rub with the truck, and we'll talk about it more here from inside, but this is a car that people buy more so to use the front and occasionally use the bed.
Yeah.
The Maverick is a little bit more 50-50. Like, you
I could
buy
see
that because you plan on having a bed in full use.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Would you like to close it?
Well,
Would you like to do the honors? It's very graceful. Okay. Would you like to drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a ton of sidewall on these giant wheels.
No, I think they're 20s. Pretty sure.
Small pet peeve.
All the dust down here.
Well, yes, that. Oh,
come on.
Is that why you wear hoodies all the time? Easier to clean off screens?
Yeah.
Okay. My material wouldn't have so gracefully done that. Anyway, I remote started this over the weekend, and thanks. I remote started this over the weekend, and when you remote start it, there's no confirmation. There's no like lights that come on to let you know that the starting has worked. It flashes 3 times but then stays blank. A lot of cars, the DRLs come on.
Yes.
And you can go, oh, good, it started.
Good, it's running.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Why do the Koreans struggle with that so much, with remote start, not only starting, but also giving you a sign that it has started?
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Also, I was blinded last night because we had to drive in the evening. And,
Oh, was that very bright?
Yeah.
I had it turned all the way down
And
to dim.
That's the white gauges.
Yeah. And no eco mode.
Oh, I didn't even
So you
try
have
that.
to
You have
either
to be
drive in sport
and get no fuel economy.
or look at the white face gauges.
CarPlay works pretty well. Although, again, small pet peeve that it doesn't, by default, bring it up. Because you get in the car, you plug your device in, or you use one of the wireless CarPlay adapters that we've promoted on the channel. And then it says reading USB, and now CarPlay is connected, but it doesn't, like, you still have to go over here and click it.
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't it just come up? A lot of cars just come up.
That's true.
Because you would think if you're plugging CarPlay in, you probably want
CarPlay. Yeah, that's true.
Also, I'm not a huge fan of the haptics for adjusting the temp, because you have to you have to look at them and do it. In a lot of vehicles, you can just get in and kind of like mindlessly rotate things. Another thing, if you do remote start the truck. If you do remote start the truck, it defaults, and maybe you can change this, but it defaults climate control to 72 auto.
I noticed that it was a little bit haunted when I got in, because it would just do whatever it wanted to do. I was like, why does the climate control keep changing it? I'm not asking it to do that. There's got to be a way to probably make it not do that. I feel like there was something else irritating with this. The problem is, it's been like 4 days since I've driven it, so I don't remember what I was irritated with. The throttle tuning with the DCT, not the smoothest thing in the world.
Sure.
But it could also be because of the turbo lag.
Well, let's explain this to the viewers a little bit who maybe aren't quite as technically minded. This truck, as opposed to many other vehicles, for its transmission, uses a mechanism where 2 physical clutches have to come together and meet and marry in order to propel the car forward, similar to that of a manual transmission, as opposed to most automatics, which use a viscous fluid in order to be able to stop.
What's a viscous?
Viscous meaning it's thick, like peanut buttery, kind of like
a torque converter,
like a warm peanut butter. Yes, the torque converter to propel the car forward. And those torque converter automatics do lose a little bit in fuel efficiency, but they make up for it in the smoothness. And this car actually has to use a wet clutch to mate together, and sometimes it results in jerkiness. Sometimes, as Chris mentioned, it results in not very smooth throttle application. But also, I really do genuinely worry about the longevity of this transmission.
Yeah, well, we've seen that
Hyundai's had trouble with it.
Hyundai's had trouble, Ford had trouble when they were doing it. We just talked about this in the Mazda CX-90, how no one ever really has issues with the torque converter automatics, but manufacturers always have issues when they try to go for a dual clutch automatic. It's just like...
I was at a stoplight yesterday next to a third generation Ford Focus, and I almost sent you a photo saying, what do these two cars have in common?
Yeah, dual
Both
clutch.
of them will need a transmission in 100,000 miles.
That's right, yeah.
And I think even more so with a vehicle like this, trucks are something that you often do stop and go type of things with.
Oh, yeah.
For example, I pulled a tree out with my Maverick before. And that is something that in this...
Smoke the clutch.
Yeah, the clutch would just be like burning up, having
Yeah.
to try to go from a stop and yanking out that tree.
Yeah.
On the Maverick, it's just moving the torque converter. There's no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
So doing towing, off-roading, pulling of trees, nudging yourself back to a trailer or something like that, or to a loading ramp to load up a motor. I mean, there's just a lot of things that I don't love the idea of doing with a dual clutch.
Well, like you said earlier, this Santa Cruz is more aimed towards people that are going to only occasionally use the back. The front is the priority. So at least in that respect,
yes,
it probably won't suffer as much from all the things that you just listed. Also, if I got one of these, I would get a trans tune and make it at least shift fast and fart. Because then you'd have some sort of value to having a dual clutch.
You would want a Santa Cruz N.
Yes. Yes.
You'd be Santa Cruzing.
I'd have an exhaust, a tune, a downpipe, and a trans tune, and it would be like... And I'd get some seats from an Elantra N.
I am going to choose not to throw this thing around like an absolute hoon wagon.
Why? Because it handles great.
Oh, I believe you, but as we've discussed...
Okay, and you're still going, yeah.
Well, this is casual. No, it does drive well.
I'm not going to throw it around.
But most people aren't going to drive the truck like that.
No, no.
I do remember going on the first drive of this in Santa Cruz, and my goodness was I hauling in this thing.
Why does Hyundai name all of their vehicles off after places? Kia does it
I
too.
think it's kind of that Korean thing where like they're like, oh, well, what's a nice American thing? And it's like, oh, well, let's just go through the list of like nice
there's
states. And
Santa Cruz,
yeah.
Santa Fe,
Tucson,
Telluride,
Kona. Palisade may be a place.
Palisade?
Like the Palisades Mountains.
Oh yeah,
Mountain
right.
range.
Yeah. So many,
Yeah.
many, yeah.
What the Santa Cruz does really well is refinement. I will say, being in here is a nice place to be. There's comfort, there's squish, the ergonomics are really good. You can just kind of have your hand chilling on this cool wheel. The shifter works well back and forth. This, even though some of it's a little bit annoying, it's still
there's no volume
easy.
knob.
No
but on the
volume
lower
knob,
trim cars, I think you still get a volume knob.
and wireless CarPlay.
Yeah.
We're going to hit this at 45, and it's going to take it pretty darn well, even with these bigger wheels. I would love to drive a more basic spec Santa Cruz, because I feel like that would do better at a lot of truck sort of things. Well, that was quite the man bun back there. The gauge cluster is a nice view. I think it looks nice in here. It rides well. The steering is a good weight. It's not too light to feel insignificant, but it's not too heavy to be cumbersome.
Yeah, the way that I kind of put it in my intro is pretty much what you just said, where the advantage of this over the Maverick is it does just feel like a step above in all trims, whereas you get the Maverick if you want to do more utility style things, but this is something that you could really take on a long trip and use every day and be quite comfortable. Not to say the Maverick isn't. This is just next level because it's a little bit more expensive and the materials are a little bit nicer feeling. I think the Maverick is a more unique interior, a more unique truck overall.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, the Maverick's not nearly as comfortable, and a lot of people complain about the cheapness of the Maverick, whereas not the case with this one. You know what this does have? Roof rails. Maverick does not.
Oh, interesting. Can you not add them to the Maverick?
You can.
You can, okay. Yeah. This more has the heart of a Subaru Baja, whereas the Maverick has the heart of a first-gen Ranger. Yeah.
Well, the other thing, and furthering what you just said before we took our silly thumbnail, you know how the Honda Ridgeline is excellent, but very few people buy them? Ooh, you're going to do a very Charlie sort of thing here.
Well, just testing out the ride.
Undulation.
Yeah.
Again, you know how the Ridgeline is like the type of truck that we love, but not many people buy them? But the people that do buy them really do quite like them, and it fits their life.
Yes.
I think this is the same concept but for a smaller truck. Many more people are buying the Maverick. And I think that makes sense because the Maverick is a more practical buy. But there's a narrower subset of more affluent buyers who will prefer this truck over the Maverick, and I do think fits them better.
Yes.
But I think this has there are fewer people who would be better. I think the Maverick is a great truck, and I know this is practically turning into another Comparo, which we've already done.
Yeah, we have done
two
it.
trucks. But I recommend the Maverick to people who might not even be interested in a truck just because it's so inexpensive. Not really the case with this one. This should be like, does your lifestyle fit A, B, C, and D? Okay, then I guess a Santa Cruz would be a good choice for you.
Right. All right.
I never noticed that sign.
Dude, it's so quick.
Yeah.
Feels like it would like keep up with my M Roadster.
I was going to make that joke when you were driving that
seriously.
this weekend. I said this would probably beat you from 0 to 60.
Oh, it certainly would from 0 to 60 because
You'd have to shift.
the shifter is so blown out in the M Roadster. You're searching for
Just
gears
missed
the
it.
whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like impressive levels of torque. And it's got over 300 pound-feet of torque, so.
Yeah.
And you figure this powertrain is shared with the Sonata N line. So I would know about that car because I got a ticket in that car.
Yeah, fortunately this one's all-wheel drive, so you don't spin the front tires.
That's right,
over.
yeah. I know, this is the most practical form of that powertrain because it's pretty unusable in the Sonata N line.
Yeah.
Could just be whatever junky tires they put on that thing. Are you having fun with the console? What are you doing?
No, it just, like, I don't, it feels
Take
insane.
the racing line.
Yeah, nice Apex there.
Thank you. I'm gonna leave this part in. Just know Charlie just said something offensive and I had to cut it out.
It's objectively true.
Okay.
I didn't say anything bad about them.
I'm gonna beat these
I
people.
was going to say, you got 300 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, yeah. I feel like they put better tires on this than they did on the
Dude,
Elantra
this thing
or the
handles
Sonata.
great. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun to drive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good truck. How much does this one cost?
Oh, yeah. Just let you. Nope, it's right there. Yeah.
That's not too much crazy than I expected. 41, 42. I mean, people are spending a lot of money on cars these days.
Yeah. Would you have this or a Maverick Tremor Lariat?
Maverick Tremor Lariat's only like 37. Right?
I know. Yeah. So you'd have that because then you could also do all of your all of your Charlie things with it.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to use a different lot. We'll go to this one.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are a lot of people who, especially if you lease cars or whatever, it doesn't matter. But I would be genuinely concerned about owning this and doing the things I do with the dual clutch.
Yeah.
I really would be. So I'd get the Maverick. The Tremor rides better.
Yeah.
This is a nicer place to be. I agree.
I think I'd have this for
Yeah.
uniqueness because
Yeah.
you never really see these, and it's just kind of a cool
You
factor
never
thing.
really see
And
Tremors either.
well, you see Mavericks though.
Yeah.
You don't see Santa Cruzes at all.
Yeah.
I see these more when we're out west.
Right.
Yeah, these are more of the lifestyle of beach people.
Well, that's
You could
that's
put
what they were
a
going
couple
for.
surfboards
That
back there.
was that's their idea.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool.
They at the launch event they took videos for the launch event with some famous surfer. It might have been Kelly Slater, but I don't know who it was. Who was like, I like the Santa Cruz because I can do all my surfing things and then go hang out with my friends at the beach and like all this
Okay.
PR stuff.
You could just buy a 987 Cayman S because it comes with places to screw in a roof rack.
That would be better.
And then you could put surfboards on that.
Although you would probably have a small aneurysm if anyone got a grain of sand in your car.
That's true, but you could just buy another, not mine. You could just
need
buy a different one.
987S. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in the Hyundai Santa Cruz, buy a 987 Cayman S instead.
That's right, because it's about the same price.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually
Yeah,
cheaper.
it'd be a bargain.
It's cheaper, yeah.
Chris
It's
is
like
trying
10
to save
grand
you
less.
money. And the transmission will last longer.
Yes. And that's Daily Motor, and that's the 23 Hyundai Santa Cruz.
I'd get a different color too.
I was just gonna say that I kind of like this gray because it's got some cool flake. I agree that I would get a different color, but I don't mind this gray.
Yeah, it's just boring.
It is bland. I wish you could have this in yellow. That would be sick if you could get yellow.
Well, it's the type of truck that like it needs to be amped up a bit by the colors. Again, that's what Maverick did well. It's a bunch of cool colors on that truck.
Get a Santa Cruz, wrap it yellow, put an engine and trans tune on it, put a downpipe on it.
Bigger tires.
Bigger wheels, lift it up
wheels,
slightly.
Yeah,
and a down. Did I say downpipe?
Yeah.
And a down. Okay, well, whatever.
Yep.
Make it fart, and make it tall, and make it yellow.
There you go.
That's what I would do.
All right. Well, all those things would make the Santa Cruz the best vehicle on the market.
That's right.
Anything else useful? I feel like there's something else I wanted to say, but it's cool. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are we Paris and Nicole?
Yeah.
I think we're.
So.
No, I think
this truck.
Are we Paris and Nicole for this
truck?
truck?
Kind of a bougie truck.
Okay. All right, everyone. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you're curious to learn more about the Santa Cruz, we'll have a link in the description that'll take you to all of our other videos from the past years on this thing.
Yeah.
But as for now, we're Paris and Nicole from Daily Motor, and as always, Baja on.